Hi, hola. Tengo una listita de preguntas. Let's see, we have some questions that were sent in. How's everybody doing? I'm a little bit late. Hola, Melania. A little bit late because I spilled my tea. ¿Cuáles preguntas tienen hoy? What questions do you have today about anything and everything? And how much fun can we have? Hi, Christine. Christine, sorry. There's a lot of Kristins and Christines today. All right. So my first question that was sent in, I'm gonna jump in here, is what's a childhood experience that impacted you? A lot of them. Where do I start? So the first one that comes to mind, hi. The first one that comes to mind is my sister being born. It's probably the earliest like big wow. My sister was born 2 years after me, and she was born with spina bifida. Hi, Esther. Hi, Reed. Hey, Jane. And if you don't know what spina bifida is, it's a congenital disorder that you're born with. It's with she had a hole in her spine, and depending on where along her spine, it affects different organs. And for her, it affected different organs and her mobility. And so it completely changed the whole plan for the family. How we navigated spaces where we would go or not go, because we had to always keep in mind if she would have ease to get in them, if we could roll her wheelchair, which she had at the beginning there. She later on had a walker, and then she now walks fine and has braces, but there's still these different considerations that we had to deal with as we were growing up that we wouldn't have had to deal with otherwise. And it was really cool because we also got to see how people, from the really early age, I got to see how people respond to someone who's very overtly, obviously different, instead of like me, who's really different in a way that maybe other people wouldn't like be able to point out right away. And just knowing that that wasn't necessarily something that was encouraged, or that a lot of times they would stare at us. They didn't know how to handle it. There's a lot more awareness about people with special needs and special abilities now, but back then, almost 40 years ago, not so much. So that was really impactful, and that actually led to me knowing about occupational therapy and physical therapy and speech therapy, because she needed speech therapy. And then that's part of why I got into becoming a speech language pathologist, which I still am, and I still practice doing that. Thanks for that question. All right, what's another question that was sent in? Do you guys have any questions, the ones online? Hi, Parita. Before I get into the ones that were sent in. That was one of the first ones. So the first one was, for those of you guys that just jumped in, is what's a childhood experience that impacted you? So I addressed that. You guys got anything else? I love these. This has been really fun for me, guys, because just like for fun, it's like, I wonder what people will come up with. I wonder what they're curious about, what ideas they have. If you guys have any ideas for stuff for me, I'm open to that too. It's kind of cool. I love inspiration. What's your favorite quote that you've heard recently, or something that someone said that like inspired you? I'd love to hear that. Hi, Martha. Hey, Paula. All right, while you guys are posting other questions, I'm going to address this other one that was sent in. Similar to some of the ones I got in the other anything goes, it was, what's something we would be surprised to know about you? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you would or would not be surprised by. One thing, so some of you might have seen some of my poetry, like the postings of poetry that I've written. It's been a while. I'll definitely have to post another one soon. But I started writing poetry when I was 10, and my dad was actually the one that encouraged it. He's a wonderful poet, an artist, and he's a surrealist painter and artist. And he encouraged us writing. My mom encouraged writing in all ways as well, she didn't really write poetry so much. She was more about like the teacher kind of writing, like the, you know, they're both teachers, but narratives and stories and like journaling and things like that. So that started at a really young age. I'm super grateful. And because this person sent in the question ahead of time, I actually have a book that I wrote down a lot of my earlier poetry in with me here. And I called it The Imagineer. And this first poem, this is one of my first poems I ever wrote. This is in 1996. So I was about 10, if I'm doing the math correctly. And it was called Spirits Within. Would you all like me to read it? Or not? I could not read it. But yes, that's one thing that I don't know if you guys know, that I started writing poetry pretty young. Okay, yes. So spirits within. So spirits pass through people like me, not staying longer than a few minutes. Doesn't need much time. Never caring how the body is affected. Like poachers killing animals, not caring. That was an exclamation point. Not caring. Sometimes coming again to torment and finally destroying every possible particle of happiness left in the body. The body gets used to this routine and finally gives up, giving the spirits access to the body, making the spirits think it's easy to do so. The spirits have come for me, and I won't let them win. I won't give up, ever. So I had totally forgotten that the topic of my first poem ever, and I was really surprised to read that and be like, wow, how aware was I of entities even as a little kid? Like a lot of the kids that I work with now, they're really aware of entities. And I might be one of the first people that actually acknowledges that as a gift and a capacity in them and doesn't make them sound like they're crazy for knowing about that. But I cannot believe that I was so aware of it. And to the point that I was like, how much did I cut it off? Like cut off my awareness about entities since then, like with puberty and all that happened right afterwards. My parents' divorce was right after that. And now I'm rediscovering and acknowledging that that was always there, that I was always aware of them from a really young age. I remember like seeing like images and people and things even when I was like 2 or 3. And now I get that nobody else was seeing them. All the adults around me weren't seeing them, but I definitely was. And so I wonder if any of you guys have any kids that you know that are really aware of entities, or if you're really aware of entities, and what if you could actually use that to your advantage and it not be something that stops you or limits you in any way? Hi, Rosie. Hey, Marta. So those are the questions that were sent in. Do you have any questions? I'm going to check my email too. Do you have any questions, y'all? Yes, I thought I checked my email. Okay, yes. Where did it go? There it is. All right, cool. I found you guys again. There's so many windows open. All right, yes. So what is something that I've been really interested in recently that's something new? Okay. So it's not really a hobby. It's more like a consideration, like something that I really would like to encourage more awareness about. So in Georgia, I don't know if y'all know, but in Georgia, they have been really trying to crack down on human trafficking. And it's recently they passed a law that's pretty phenomenal. I'm trying to remember the name of the law exactly. I got an email about it recently where they passed a law. I think it's like Bill 158, something like that. And it's an anti-human trafficking act that basically makes it so that anyone who is under 18 can't actually be considered a prostitute. Like they're actually acknowledging that they're probably been coerced, drugged, or kidnapped. And so they can't be litigated and charged in the same way that an adult who's found prostituting themselves would be. And so given that there's a lot of the human trafficking as kids, that's a really, really big step. And I've been working with Georgia Cares, which is a company, like an organization here, a non-for-profit. I think it's georgiacares.org. I'm going to put that in the chat for y'all. And so that's been something recently, like I've done their domestic minority sex trafficking training. Highly recommend that for any place that you guys are. If you find that there's a training on it, it's pretty amazing to go through that and know what to be aware of, and like what are the signs of when someone is being trafficked or not, and how you can actually notify people in a way that's safe for you and that is also like gets the people that need to know about it there, like the police and the rape advocates, because a lot of times there's rape involved in sexual assault and all of that, and without actually endangering yourself, but then not to like be complacent and let all of these things that are going on around us kind of pass you by. And so one of the things I would really love to do is to actually do presentations in the schools and talking about for teachers and kids how to identify the kids that are being trafficked, because a lot of them are also being trafficked for their labor, like to be doing the cooking and the cleaning in the house. They barely get sleep, they're not getting paid, their families are being threatened, and a lot of times the kids will identify it even faster than the adults. Like they'll be like, that's kind of different, like what's going on, or this person's saying this about their quote-unquote parent, their guardian, and the kids will recognize those red flags, because kids will talk to other kids more and easier than adults a lot of times. So that's one of the things. Anything else? What else is possible? I'm gonna wait and give some sips. Y también pueden hacer preguntas en español, cualquiera de los dos idiomas. Creo que este va a ser uno cortito hoy. This might be a short one today. I don't see any other questions. We had some fun ones so far, though. Thanks, though. All right, if you put any other questions later, I will address them in the next Anything Goes. I'm kind of changing up the day depending on like my availability and schedule, and so it's not really a consistent anything, but it's really fun for when y'all jump on. I really appreciate it, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.